This video is sponsored by Campfire, but more about them at the end of the video. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Zoro. So one of my favorite kind of videos to do is to just chat about a specific character or scene and go a little bit deeper into it. It's one of my favorite kind of videos to make. So I figure a while ago I did a Why I Love Luffy video so far, and I figure I could do one of these for every member of the crew, or at least pretty much every member at this point. So in between arc reviews, when I need a little bit more time to review an arc, because I'm definitely not going to be able to do it every single week, especially moving forward, I figure we could just have chit-chat videos like this, discuss a little bit deeper into some characters or some scenes. At this point in the story, I have read the first half of it as it's published today. I've read up through the Summit War Saga. So I've read nearly 600 chapters, so spoilers up to that point. Anyway, let's discuss why I love Zoro so far. First of all, Zoro falls into a trope that I always attach myself to, that sort of strong, silent side character, the backup to the main character in my favorite series, which, I mean, let's be real, One Piece is also my favorite series, but in the Gentleman Bastard series, Jean is this character type, and he's my favorite ever, even though Locke is amazing as well. But in a lot of stories, sorry, my cat is climbing into my bookshelf. In a lot of stories, this character archetype comes up where it's someone who doesn't really speak so much, more speaks with his actions or her actions. So Zoro already fits into a character type that I tend to love reading from anyway, which is why I latched onto him so quickly on my first read through of this series. But now I kind of want to go a little bit deeper than that because there are so many wonderful things about this character. And I guess we'll start there. We'll start with the fact that he lets his actions do the talking for the most part, and that he can live up to that very much. So the baseline of this character, the very simplistic way of looking at him is of his dream. Each character in this story has a dream that they fight for, that they live for, that they have teamed up with Luffy to support his dreams, but also to accomplish their own. Zoro's dream is, of course, to become the greatest swordsman in the world. How to do? I suppose to defeat the big bad, or the biggest, bestest swordsman out there now. I love that we actually got that face-off so early on in the series. We see the biggest, baddest swordsman, the best swordsman in the world right now, Hawkeye, and we see Zoro face off against him really early on and see how truly outmatched he is and how far he has to go before he can accomplish this dream. But at the same time, in that battle, we see how much respect he has for this goal of his and how all or nothing he is, but also how much it means to him, because he won't back down no matter what. But he also won't fight dishonorably or lose dishonorably. Even when he's accepted, okay, yeah, I'm gonna lose this one, he won't get cut in the back. He will make every effort to make sure that he's defeated facing his foe, because even in an impossible battle, he won't back down, he won't back up, he'll face it head on, all or nothing. And even in death, he won't die dishonorably. And it's these things that allow him to live. It's these things that give him so much respect from the greatest swordsman as of right now. So much so that he asked for Zoro's name, said he would remember him, and spared his life, and even encouraged him to keep training and for them to fight again someday in the future. We see in his flashback that from the very beginning with him as a kid, this has always been his dream. This has always been his greatest ambition and the thing that he holds dearest to his heart, being the greatest swordsman. And when he has a friendship and a rivalry with a childhood friend who has that same dream, his determination is just little step. Beat the kid that's stronger than me. Beat the girl that has has more skill than I do. And we'll come back to this. We're gonna come back to this flashback and break that down a little bit more, but I'm gonna keep focusing on his intense focus for his dream. He really is an all or nothing kind of guy, where anytime he's faced with a new opponent, a new battle, his response is always to give absolutely everything to that fight, whether it be to cut off his legs so that he can defend his friends, or push through his injuries until he passes out, which they all do, admittedly so. Or be bludgeoned to the point that most people would die. He will give everything. He will launch himself fully into any opponent that he faces until he either dies or he wins. We see his tenacity and determinedness constantly throughout the series, where he's injured so badly that he really should be on bed rest for a few days. But instead, when somebody asks him, "What happened to your wounds?" his response is, "They got better." And he keeps fighting even though he is clearly not fit to fight. He'll go so far as to slash his own stomach to give himself a handicap when fighting someone. And when he's faced against somebody that is an impossible obstacle, someone who can turn themselves into a blade, and he says, "I can't cut through steel. This is a fight that I can't win." He views it as something to smile at and to be grateful for, because this means that when he is able to defeat this person, it means that he will have learned how to cut through steel. And he thinks that that's something to be thankful for. Instead of backing down from an impossible fight, he leans in harder and views it as an opportunity to just get that much stronger. Then each time when he's either bested or almost bested but still manages to win, we see him agonizing over the fact that there are still people in the world stronger than him, that he still is defeatable, and working out, making himself stronger, fighting harder to become the greatest. He's so wholly focused, he's so single-minded toward this goal that it consumes him. It is the greatest thing to him, and he runs full tilt. Either I win this fight or I die, because if he's going to survive, becoming the greatest swordsman is the only path for him. Or so it seems. But there's so much more to him than just this. We first meet Zoro tied to a post because he saved a little girl from the dogs, or like the wolf dogs, of some snobby rich kid. She's about to be attacked. He deems that unacceptable, and so he defends her, and then he gets tied to a post and is promised, "Just sit here and starve and be, miserable for a month, and then I'll set you free." And Zoro has this innate goodness to him where he just believes that. The situation that he's in is incredibly unfair, but he's going to wait out this penalty, because then he'll be set free and he can go about his merry way. When the girl comes to give him food, he doesn't want her there, and he tries to get her to go away because he doesn't want her to face any sort of consequences. And when she's mocked and humiliated, he makes sure to eat every grain of rice that she brought him, because he just wants her to feel good. He just wants her to be happy. From the very beginning, we see the innate goodness of this character, and that carries on constantly throughout the series, where we see him just generally being good for good's sake. When when a giant bird picks up Luffy and takes him away, because of course it does, Zoro's in his boat and he's rowing after Luffy to go and save him. Bucky's pirates are in the water and he just takes them along the way. He says, "Grab on and you can come with me." If they don't grab on, if they're not able to grab onto his oars and they fall behind, he's gonna leave them there. He's gonna leave them there to drown, because really at the end of the day, it's not his problem. But if it's convenient to him to save them along the way, he absolutely will. He gets lost on the Knot Island and watches a man get shot in cold blood. Watches a man get shot and his wife gets stolen. And Zoro is confused by the whole situation and just picks up the guy on his shoulder and asks, "Okay, so where's a hospital?" He has no stakes in this game. He didn't know this guy, he has no reason, but there's a guy that clearly needs help, so without thought, without consideration, he helps him. It's who Zoro is. When his crewmate, only just turned crewmate in fact, and barely, she's not really even committed to them at this point, when she gets stuck in an oil slick and then they need to go fight and save a village of people. And she grabs a hold of him and pulls him into the oil slick in order to get herself out, and then runs off not to save the people, but to protect their treasure. And then Zoro now is stuck in an oil slick, can't get out, and now can't defend his crew or the village of people that he's trying to protect. Well, it really is not an entire village. I mean, it kind of is. It's Kaya, but also the situation he's in. He's trying to protect people. When all this happens, he's basically betrayed by his own crew member so that crew member can go do something really selfish. His response is to be absolutely furious and to struggle for a really long time to get out. He would have been the more useful person to be free, but now he's the one that's stuck. What does he do when he gets free? He goes running to his crew and he starts defending them and fighting for them. Doesn't matter that his own crew member kinda sorta just betrayed him. I mean, not really, but she put him in a trap to get herself out. It doesn't really matter that he was just put in this situation. He's gonna start defending her, and to the point where when Usopp tries to provide him cover, he takes that damage as well so that they won't be in the line of fire, so that people won't start turning on them because they're attacking. This character that brute strengths his way through life, that brute strengths his way through fights, as well as through injuries, as well as through situations where he can't fight his way through, he'll just pick up a cage and carry it on his shoulders to get Luffy out. His innate goodness goes along with it. It's not just this strong drive of cut anyone down that stands in my way. No, if someone's standing in his way and they're not a bad guy, then he'll hit them with the other side of his sword so that it just knocks them over. Generally, he's regularly thinking about everybody else. He's not so single-minded that he's only thinking about himself. He's constantly considering the people around him, and even if the people around him aren't helping him, he's still gonna defend them. He's still gonna step into battle for them. But at the same time, Zoro is such a team player. Anytime their crew is in a situation of absolute chaos and a situation of complete danger, when some characters are reacting on instinct, when other characters are reacting in fear, Zoro's signature response is to stop, look around, and calmly assess the situation. Who is attacking me? Who is standing beside me? What do I need to do in this moment? Sometimes his response is to find a way to defend them himself. Sometimes his response is to look to his captain and see what his captain is planning, despite the fact that Luffy rarely actually explains his plans at all. He'll just give a command. And most of the time, Zoro's response is, I see what you want to do. And the reason he can regularly see what Luffy is planning, or what Nami is planning, or what Usopp is planning, and go along with it without any need for words is because of that calm and quiet assessment of a battle. Zoro can take on an entire army on his own a lot of times, depending on how strong they are, but he can take on a fleet of people on his own. He is incredibly strong and an amazing fighter, but he also is an incredible team player, not just in moments where he needs to step in and defend and not allow others to fight with him, but in situations where he's fighting side by side with his captain, or even fighting side by side with his crewmate that he generally irritates the snot out of him. He can adjust his fighting style to either protect a group of people or to fight alongside a group of people. Whatever the situation requires, he's there to do it. And that's not to say he's the only crew member that can do this. Luffy and Sanji are both also very good at taking out a fleet of people or fighting alongside their own people. Zoro especially is the one that I see the most calmly assessing a situation and just knowing what needs to be done, whether it's understanding the plans of another or taking it all out himself. He isn't impulsive, he isn't scared, and he isn't just a force. He's a strategist, a protector, and a doer. He has several silly faults that kind of make him look dumb, and he definitely can be a little bit spacey at times. He easily gets lost all the time in the most basic of navigational situations. he's lost. He has a really short fuse too. The guy will be calmly doing some manual labor. Somebody will say something and he'll just turn and start screaming at them. It's kind of funny. They all do it, really. And he also has quite a bit of pride. He thinks that he legitimately can be the greatest swordsman and doesn't really know what he's up against until he faces Hawkeye for the first time, and he's really, really humbled. But that humbling doesn't make him take a step back. It again makes him lean forward. It makes him tilt harder into his dreams and into Luffy's dreams. But it also makes him face future opponents and fight for his dream with a much more humble attitude and realizing more of how big the world is and how mighty this world is. He may have faults, he may be spacey at times, he may have a layer of pride, but he's such a team player, and not just in moments of action. We of course have the scene where he pushes Luffy to be captain, and to me, that shows so much of who he is in the background. He has the ability to once again stop and calmly assess a situation and know what's right to do, not just in moments of action, but in moments like these, where the crew is falling apart and he's the one that's standing behind Luffy telling him, you have to be a captain here, you have to stand up, and you have to handle this. Otherwise, the crew will continue to fall apart. People will lose respect for each other. Then again, later when Usopp wants to rejoin the crew and Zoro again gives him counsel and tells him you can't just take him back with open arms. You can't just ask him back. He needs to apologize first. We have to have a sense of order and respect for our captain. And he even goes so far as to say, if you don't do this, if you don't handle this right, people are going to start leaving, starting with me. I'll be the next one to walk out. And man, never would have expected that from Zoro, someone who has proved his loyalty. But he has to help Luffy be able to be the captain that the crew needs him to be. Now let's hop back to Zoro's backstory. So, since Zoro was a little kid, he's always wanted to be the greatest swordsman. He had a childhood friend who had the same dream, so his goal was to beat her so that he could keep beating people so that he could be the greatest and the best. She died. So what does Zoro do? He takes her sword and he starts fighting 3-sword style. He carries his sword with him in his goal to accomplish his own dreams, and now he's taken on her dreams as his own as well, and he's accomplishing them together. He's fighting for them both now, which in and of itself is just so moving, and again just harkens back to his innate goodness. Who would do that? He's trying to fight her, to compete with her, and when he loses her, his response is to, in the only way he can, shoulder her own dream and move forward for them. Now he's fighting for 2 dreams. I love this just for what it is. I love this for the simple goodness and sweetness that it is. But I think that it exposes so much about why Zoro is the way he is. He's so hyper-focused on his own dream, but at the same time, he's so loyal to Luffy as his captain and so focused on accomplishing Luffy's dreams as well. He's the first one to call Luffy the Pirate King. He is the one that pushes Luffy to be the captain that he needs to be. He regularly puts himself in fights for Luffy where he could potentially die, but he goes just as hard for those things. He follows Luffy's direction implicitly, even when he doesn't agree with it or understand it. He has this incredible loyalty to Luffy where he wants Luffy's dreams to be accomplished, and he's taken on Luffy's dreams as his own, and where he absolutely follows him and is loyal to him. And I think we kind of see why back in his backstory. We see that at least this is the way I interpret this. We see that Zoro has a tremendous amount of respect for a person's dreams. When his childhood friend died and she couldn't pursue her dreams anymore, even though her dreams, if she accomplished her dreams, it would have meant that he couldn't. When she couldn't pursue them anymore, he took her sword and he pursued them for them, not just for him anymore. And I think that this amount of respect that he has for an individual's dreams is why he fights so hard for Luffy's dreams as well. He has so much respect for Luffy's dreams as well as respect for Luffy as a person. And so he fights for Luffy's dreams just as hard as he fights for his own. And I think that that respect for an individual's dreams, coupled with his loyalty and his love for Luffy the individual, is why we get such impactful scenes like nothing happened. Zoro, who told Luffy when they first met, "If you stand in the way of my dreams, I'll kill ya," has fought alongside Luffy to the point of near death multiple times, has in this very arc in Thriller Bark, where several people have had their shadows taken from them and are therefore vulnerable to the sunlight, he, as well as the rest of the crew, stand next to their captain while he fights. Actually, back up a little bit. He told their captain, he told Luffy, "This is your fight to have. You finish it," after they had already fought so much to the point of near collapse. And now Zoro tells his captain, "You finish the fight. This is yours to finish," which is just awesome. But then they all stand there in the sunlight. They could go find shade. They could go hide in the trees like everybody else is. They won't. They will stand next to their captain while he finishes this fight, even if it means they die. And then when their captain is passed out and Papa Kuma comes to take Luffy's head, take him back to the world government, and both Zoro and Sanji stand up and offer themselves to the world government in place of Luffy. Like I've said before, any of these crew members would have done this for Luffy, but the fact that it was Zoro really shows how much he puts Luffy's dreams on the same level as his own, and in this moment, higher than his own, where he is completely ready to surrender his dreams if it just means protecting Luffy so that Luffy can accomplish his own. Then, of course, he takes on so much pain and so much damage that it near kills him, that it would have killed anyone else. And when Sanji comes to find him and he asks, "What's with all this blood? What happened here?" And Zoro's response is, "Nothing happened." He doesn't want the recognition. He doesn't want the acknowledgement. He doesn't want anyone to even know what he did or what he suffered. He just wanted to protect his captain and his captain's dreams. A character that has so much love and respect for what his dream is, for the craft, for the honor that comes with being the greatest swordsman, and a character that is so intense about it that when he faces an impossible obstacle, he smiles and says, when I do win this fight, I will be stronger. So thank you." Someone that's this intense about his own dreams, yet steps aside for the sake of someone else's dreams. This is such a fascinating and incredible character to follow, in my opinion. Someone who will go up to the man that he's trying to beat and who has humbled him greatly and bow before him and say, "I want you to teach me," so that he can help Luffy, so that he can serve Luffy better, so that he can be next to Luffy and be a better fighter. But also so that someday he can beat Hawkeye himself. This level of tenacity and strength and badassery and humbleness and loyalty and kindness and goodness. There's so many things happening inside of Zoro. There's so many facets to him that all seem to somehow cohesively work together, and it just makes sense. It makes sense that he would pursue his own dreams so strongly and wholly, yet pursue Luffy's dreams or back up Luffy's dreams so strongly and wholly as well. There's something so fascinating about this character, and I love following him. At one point, Zoro said, "I don't care what people think. I live by my own code. I've never done anything I regret, and I don't intend to in the future." And I think that's still true of him. All this time that he spent throughout the story fighting to be the greatest swordsman, protecting his friends, and following Luffy, I don't think he's found a regret. Someone that lives life so fully and so wholly for what they believe in, it's fun to follow. This was way more rambly than I really intended it to be, but I guess there's a little chit chat of why Zoro's character is really working for me. I mean, really all of these characters are amazing, but here's a video about Zoro. And now, here's an ad. People write into SBS all the time wondering, how are stories like One Piece able to have such vast worlds, complex plots, and massive cast of characters, while still being satisfying? Well, the answer is me, Perona, the ghostwriter. Let me take you into my office and show you my process. Oh, you're here. Welcome to my office. Anyway, like I was saying, when you want to have a vast world like One Piece, it's easy to get things mixed up. When you want to have a complex plot where seeds are laid all throughout the story, but you'd like to have satisfying payoff, you have to have some level of organization in order to pull off these tremendous feats. You want to have complex relationship dynamics? Forget about it, unless you've got some kind of chart. Well, I'm not actually One Piece's ghostwriter. I lied earlier. But I do have some tools that help me in order to keep my complex epic story straight. And that's Campfire Blaze. Campfire Blaze is a browser-based writing application with a full site of organizational tools that help you to write the stories you want to write. Its manuscript module will safely store your project in the cloud and allow you to quickly reference details from your story with auto-tagging. You can create your characters and connect how they interact with the other relationships, as well as keeping track of your world building, maps, locations, species, magic systems, cultures, and more. The timelines are also extremely flexible, which allows you to plan your stories in ways that work for you. Your stories are private, but it's easy to share them or even collaborate with others. Campfire Blaze also receives new features every month and is free to use for smaller projects. If you need more space, you only have to pay for the features you need for as little as 50 cents. And if you aren't satisfied, you can get your money back with their 30-day return policy. Write better stories faster with Campfire Blaze. Check out the link in the description to learn more. Stop dreaming and scheming about your own story and pick up the pen or laptop and start writing. Make your story happen and organize it with Campfire Blaze. Anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts on Zoro so far, why I love him so far. I cannot wait to get back to the story where I left off, hang out with him and Perona and Hawkeye. Three of my favorite characters in the series are all chilling together, and I hope I get to chill with them a little bit too before our crew comes back together. I would love to continue chatting with you about this in the comments. Let me know what you think of Zoro and why you love him or don't, but probably mostly why you love him. Check out my Patreon if you feel like it. We chat a lot over there. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye.